Welcome to the next installment of the Captain's Pinball Auction, October 15th, 2022. We've taken you through the first 220 games, and we're starting with the 221st here, and it's a pretty cool game. This is the very first commercial solid-state pinball machine ever made. Rock On was from a company called Allied Leisure, and they served different markets than the main pinball companies, more urban markets, and did not hesitate to have kind of urban themes in their games. When Rock On was designed, it was quite innovative to actually put out a game like this before the major pinball manufacturers, Bally, Williams, Gottlieb, were able to do that. But that was something that they were able to do. You might remember the Allied Leisure shaker ball game from the earlier video, and this is another example of their innovation. This is a particularly cool game. There's only one Rock On known in the pinball serial number database at this point. And I'm actually going to zoom in here and see that this particular pinball was custom designed for Dwight S. Babcock. So, Mr. Babcock, if you're out there, feel free to chime in. You can see the board sets are complete. Everything's in nice condition. The wiring is complete. The game is not running, but definitely very interesting project with the full schematics in the book. So if you're good with kind of early stage IC work, it's a pretty good game to start and play with. Next up is Gottlieb's Lawman, and this game would be the inspiration for Atlantis later on, but this is the Western themed game. You can see that the kind of characteristic fun Gordon Morrison art in the back box. He's shooting there some cards, so he's kind of doing some card tricks, and that's pretty characteristic because what you're going to do here is to complete that big target bank on the left of the game. Great artwork. This is a pretty beautiful back glass on this game, and fun game to play for sure, which is why it wound up inspiring another game years later. Bally Blue Ribbon, one of the 1960s multiplayer Bally's. You can see it's a beauty pageant oriented game, and it's got some very nicely executed artwork in the back box. Very nice design. Even huge plastic in the playfield to go along with that. It's a fairly basic asymmetrical Bally playfield design. You can kind of see how it flows down there. So that is Bally's Blue Ribbon. Here's a cool game, Chicago Coin's Mustang. In the 1960s, Chicago Coin made some pretty innovative pinball machines, and really were, kind of taking different approaches than the main manufacturers to kind of carve out their niche. And this is a particularly great game. The Mustang theme, of course, is fantastic here just to start out with, considering the vintage of the game. You can kind of see the playfield and the kind of cool spinning feature the ball can get in the center of the playfield. So very nice, beautiful artwork on the game. Just a gorgeous specimen of the game, and certainly if you want a pinball machine contemporary with your Mustang, here is an opportunity for that. Our third Captain Fantastic. This one is again having a, you kind of see the back glass details on this one, so you can see which version that is. And then take a look at the playfield on this particular machine. You can see what you're getting on that. Just very pretty Captain Fantastic. You can see the cabinet as well on it. Get a picture of what that is. And do the other side too. So there you go. Alright. Bally had a series of arcades called Aladdin's Castle, and tied in with that, we have the Bally Aladdin's Castle pinball machine. Commissioned some kind of genie in the bottle style artwork to go with it, which, I suppose that they were always trying to get the genie to produce them some coins from their players, and so if it worked, I guess that's a good theme. Certainly a game I remember from my younger days as being a pretty popular game. That little roll around feature on the left side of the playfield in particular, pretty easy to hit, which was encouraging when you're a younger player, maybe you don't have the skill set evolved yet. But yeah, very attractive pinball machine, Aladdin's Castle. Alright, single player Bally from the 60s. This is Hootenanny, and it has a progressive feature in the back glass, which is why you see HOO lit up. As objectives are completed, that actually progresses and carries over from game to game. every time you get a free ball, you light the next letter of Hootenanny, and that carries over. So it's something where obviously we see it's closer to the Y, that would be a reason why you might want to hurry up and play the game, because as you see from the score card, 2 replays are awarded for lighting the 10th letter in Hootenanny. So if you get the 9 letters lit up, then go ahead, coin it and see if you can win that 10th. So certainly the musical theme of the Hootenannies that were popular and the folk revival of the early 60s is played out here nicely. It's a great music themed game. You can see kind of carrying on the music theme in the playfield. Very, very classic 60s pinball machine. Beautiful condition for this game. So that is Bally's Hootenanny. You kind of see the musical notes there on the side of the cabinet as well. Bally's Little Joe. Little Joe is a dice game themed pinball machine, and your objectives are to change on the game when you complete different pairs, or basically a total of dice. So depending on what you've got, different features light up in the game and give you different opportunities. Sometimes it might be to your advantage to try and see if you can change the dice, and so you have an opportunity in the playfield to hit that to change the yellow dice. But to change the white, it's the original plunger shot, or if you can manage to get the gate open, then you could shoot there to get another plunger shot and then change the white die. So kind of some cool rules that are going on in the Little Joe, which makes it certainly above average playing electromechanical from the 70s. And you can see kind of the artwork going on there. It looks like we seem to have a little bit of a dispute between a bride and groom. She seems to be all dressed up and ready to go in white, but it kind of looks like the groom has gotten a little bit distracted with some gaming activities. So humorous backglass sort of complements the game. It's a great work from Bally. This is Bally's Lost World, and as the transition was made to solid state pinball machines, one of the things that carried over from the electromechanicals was that the artwork was screen based, meaning that you would have a black line on the artwork. We can take a look at that in Little Joe. You can see the black line, the outlines of the art, and then in between you have different screen colors, solid colors, which fill in the rest of the backglass. And so that style of art goes back through all of these machines back to the beginning of pinball artwork, basically. Paul Ferris at Bally innovated a different process for the backglass, which gave, as it was advertised then, a 3-dimensional effect. And this is the first such game, Bally's Lost World, based on Paul Ferris's painting. And you can see our hero and heroine in the backglass. This is famously based, Paul said, on himself. It's a self-portrait, and that's believable because Paul's also a wrestling instructor at the high school in his area. But just the overall classic design of the dragon and the guy and the gal up there, just a beautiful pinball machine. One of my very favorite art packages from a classic series of art packages. The playfield, conventionally designed black line and color separation layers, and very complimentary. This is a beautiful Lost World. You can kind of take a look at some of the art on the playfield as we scan down and kind of look at how that works. Classic gameplay, A, B, C, D, E, F, complete. Advance your bonus multiplier, advance the bonus by hitting the spinner, get the 5,000 or the extra ball and the captive ball, and continue. So it's really a build the bonus game, typical from Bally in this era to kind of get the max bonus 5x and then wait as it counts down. So Bally Lost World, just a beautiful pinball machine and a great tribute to Paul's art. Speaking of beautiful pinball machines and tribute to someone's art, here is Gottlieb's Circus. This is a very special machine to me because the very first pinball machine I ever owned was a Gottlieb Circus, and that was cool. This one is nicer than that one, but I was excited because that was the first time I had a pinball machine, and I kind of learned a lot about what it meant to actually have a machine and appreciate it for its art and for its play, but also what it meant to kind of work on it and understand when it was having issues and what those issues might be coming from. Gordon Morrison really outdid himself with his back box and the playfield. It's Just a beautiful piece of art capturing the circus theme, and certainly captivated me, and I just could not resist this game. Playfield also beautiful. You see the artwork with the animals and the performers of the circus, and butyrates. It wanted to chime in there a little bit. Again, kind of build the bonus game. It's got a roto target in the kind of set aside playfield in the top of the game. The cool tiger bumper caps there, and just great gameplay too. It's a 3 flipper game in the bottom part, and then 2 more flippers in the small size for the upper playfield. That's Gottlieb's Circus. Just a gorgeous pinball machine. All right, Monte Carlo. We've seen the odds and evens, the single player version of it, and this is the multiplayer version of it. And so looks like somebody else has joined the party up in the back glass, which kind of makes sense given that we got a 4-player pinball machine here. So this is a little bit of a different approach in the back box, because the game, of course, in the lower playfield is the same, and you know, it does not have a different rule set. You're still kind of doing the same thing. Dave Christensen's art here, of course, great as it always is. Williams Superstar. This is just such the classic machine, kind of reflecting the 70s kind of look, the late 60s, early 70s transition. Very typical kind of Williams kind of game from this era. You see that great artwork in the back box, and love those hairstyles. This is a very nice Superstar. It's a fairly simple game to play. You're basically trying to work to keep the ball in play, spell out the super, and build the rollover, advance, so that you can continue to work your score and get to your free games. Has a center post in it, and so this is one of those games where if you get that center post up, you just walk away from the pinball machine, especially because in addition to the center post, there are also 2 side posts, so it's actually possible to make it, if you had all 3 posts up, that there was no way to lose the ball unless you had your flipper up, perhaps, as the ball was coming to you. Maybe you could find a way to do that. But anyway, Williams Superstar. This is certainly a nice Superstar. You're seeing that. All right, Gottlieb's Corral. This, back to one of the wedge heads that Gottlieb made, and this is an add-a-ball wedge head, as you can see, from the ball in, play being replaced by the number of balls to play, 10 down to 1. This is one of the series of games that had a score to beat that you can change basically by putting a different background paper insert in the back box. It's a gorgeous piece of art, as you'd expect, with the horses and the gals of the corral and all of that. Very nicely executed, again, that typical Gottlieb detail. And gorgeous machine on the playfield as well. We've got some overhead lights, so you can tilt away from those a little bit. You can kind of see how that just plays out, and even the horses in the pasture down below. Just beautiful. Fun game to play with a very target in the center, so I'm definitely trying to work to complete that. If you hit the numbers 1 to 10, you get a replay, and you light each number for additional replays. So that's how the game progresses on that. And you know what? I made a mistake. This is actually a replay game, of course. I'm sure some of you caught that earlier on. And the 1 to 10 in the back box, that's right, are the actual numbers that you're spotting. So, nope. That goes to show you I certainly make my mistakes too, as you've seen as we go through these so many games. It's just so cool to see. All right. Williams Olympic Hockey. Got the animated back box there as well. Very cool design, hockey-themed pinball machine. Got some lights overhead again. You can see the playfield there. This is second Williams Stellar Wars. This one's a little bit rougher than the first one, it looks like, in the back box. Playfield, you can judge for it yourself. Not too bad. Williams Lucky Strike. Single-player Williams from the 60s. It has the animated ball in the back box. You can see it goes back and forth. They simulate the bowling. This is one of the Williams games that has the area on the bottom of the back box where you can put the name of your establishment to advertise your business. And you can see that this is one of the bowling games that has the 10 rollover pins to complete to make your strikes and spares. So kind of take a look at some of the art on the plastics. We'll get away from that glare a little bit and scroll down so you can take a look at that. It's a pretty pinball machine. Here's a rare one. This is Gottlieb's Dragon, and this is the electromechanical version of Gottlieb's Dragon. Then the transition was being made from electromechanical to solid state. No company delayed longer than Gottlieb, and there's good reason for that. They had very, very successful electromechanical pinball machines, and there were a lot of people at Gottlieb who were questioning, whether the future was going to be in their Rockwell outsourced board set that they had come up with for their solid state games. For that reason, they continued to make electromechanical pinball machines after everyone else had quit, and they actually made several machines side by side in both the electromechanical and the solid state versions. We saw on the other side, you saw the electromechanical Pyramid, two-player of the solid state Cleopatra, and here you kind of see the rare side. That's a fairly rare game too, but this is a much rarer four-player electromechanical Gottlieb's Dragon. Compared to the solid state of the same name. And of course, that art. There she is. There's just something about those dragons. What can I tell you? But, Gordon Morrison always does a beautiful job with the artwork that he does. Gameplay, ABCD rollovers on the top, and it's a very target game. So, the focus is on making the targets, hitting the spinner, going back to the top, building your bonus, and progressing through it that way. And Williams Klondike. This is a single-player Williams pinball machine, very successful in multiple different versions. Another Add-A-Ball version as well. Yukon exists. This Klondike, you can see the back box, kind of a humorous take on the Klondike Gold Rush. Obviously, a lot of fun stories about all of that and how that played out in the short time that it existed. On the playfield, its main feature is the 3 reels in the center, which are advanced by the hitting those, which of course the bumper is doing for you because the bumpers block them all, or your control over the left and right reel here. So you have the ability to advance that to the place that you want it to be, and it's partly covered by the auction sticker now, but the key tells you and shows you what will light up the special and give you the higher points, 5,000, 5,000, and special as well if you get the 3 wagons in a line. So it's cool because you kind of have to keep working it, and if you pay attention to what the reels are and you actually make an effort to try and complete the objective, then it's a very satisfying game to play. That is Williams Klondike. And we're gonna hop over here for the last few in this particular series. This is Hearts and Spades. This is a Add-A-Ball game that has a spinner feature in the back box. You can see in the central art, the ladies are there and the cards are around them. And when you hit the spin in the playfield on either side, then an internal spinning device makes it so the lights spin around in the back box and select the card. So pretty cool. The back box art is great. I love the kind of diamond backdrop that they are given on that. And then you kind of see the condition of the playfield and the plastics and so forth on this game. This is a pretty nice copy of Hearts and Spades. So that is that game. Tropic Isle. Pretty much a vanished backlash on this game, and definitely is going to need some work. But a relatively rare single-player title in the Gottlieb Wedgeheads. So it's got the cool tropical themed art. I think somebody's going to enjoy taking this and making this into a beautiful game. Bally Trio, kind of a throwback singing theme to it. It's one of the Bally single players. Again, it's going to need some work and love to make this a better game, but you still see the cool art in the playfield and the back glass. Williams Grand Prix. This is a tremendously successful game for Williams, due primarily to the dual spinner action that you get in the game as you are completing the ABCD drop targets that you see, as well as hitting those spinners. And it led to a lot of success for Williams because it's just a rapid game to play. This one you don't see that often. This is a Chicago Coins Pirate Gold. Again, a pirate-themed game in honor of the captain. So you've got a, let's see, the pirate kind of commanding this rather motley bunch of folks in what looks like a little canoe. But sure enough, there's the treasure. So Pirate Gold is up there. This is a pretty game, this copy of Pirate Gold, and kind of see how the play field works. Build your bonus and score it. And last one in this series for the moment is Charlie's Angels. You can see the featured actresses in the back box, and this license came from Columbia Pictures Television. So there you go. And this one is not a working game, but it does have a complete board set in it. All right, and that ends this segment. We'll pick up next with Flicker.